Hey friends, it's me, your girl Kristen Denise, also known as KD, here with day 13 of Black History Month. Random fun fact, February 13th is also known as Black Love Day, so happy Black Love Day. And we celebrate Black love in all of its many forms. Familial, romantic, friendship, you name it, we love it. Over here, if it's Black love, okay? Cool beans. Now let's jump into today's person, who is another phenomenal woman that we should absolutely know more about based on their impact, but we don't. So now let's learn. We are going to talk about Pauli Murray, who was born in 1910 and transitioned in 1985. She was a legal pioneer, civil rights activist, and trailblazing feminist. Anna Pauli Murray was a lawyer, poet, priest, and civil rights activist whose life and work were instrumental in shaping U.S. legal and civil rights history. She was a queer Black woman who lived at the intersection of multiple forms of discrimination. She fought tirelessly against racial and gender inequality, laying the foundation for landmark legal rulings and social justice movements. Her ideas on intersectionality, long before the term was coined, would deeply influence Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and the modern civil rights and feminist movements. Despite her profound contribution, Pauli Murray's legacy is often overshadowed, a reflection of the very injustices she fought against. Her life teaches us that lasting change is built through courage, persistence, and intellectual brilliance, of which she had all three, and that one person can transform history even if they aren't always in the spotlight. So now let's get into a couple of her key contributions, because she was that girl, as all the women I've shared have been in her own way. So first and foremost, she was the co-founder of the National Organization for Women, NOW, in 1966. She co-founded this organization with feminist leaders like Betty Friedan, advocating for gender equality in employment, education, and society as a whole. She ensured that Black women's voices were absolutely a part of the feminist movement. She coined the term Jane Crow to highlight the unique discrimination Black women face, highlighting how racism and sexism intersected, and her work helped make NOW a platform for both racial and gender justice, which was a rarity in the feminist movement at this time. She was a legal scholar who helped shape Brown versus Board of Education, which we know is the landmark ruling that said school segregation was illegal, right? So in 1950, she wrote a book called States' Laws on Race and Color, where she compiled laws on racial discrimination, arguing that segregation violated the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Thurgood Marshall called her book the Bible of the civil rights movement, because that's how significant it was, and it became a key resource for the NAACP's case in Brown versus Board of Education, which ended legal school segregation. How amazing is that? She also pioneered legal theories in gender discrimination. Her work show where she was a trailblazer, in women's rights and a key figure in the fight against gender discrimination. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg cited Murray's legal theories in Reed versus Reed, the first Supreme Court case to declare a law that discriminated based on gender as unconstitutional. Ginsburg credited Murray as a co-author of the brief because of the groundbreaking legal arguments that she made during this time, which is utterly amazing. She was also the first Black woman ordained as an Episcopal priest in 1977. She helped to absolutely break barriers in law and in civil rights, but also in religion. She viewed her ministry as an extension of her lifelong commitment to social justice, advocating for both spiritual and social liberation, and she championed LGBTQ+ inclusion in the church long before it was widely accepted. Finally, she was also an advocate in general for LGBTQ+ rights and gender identity recognition. She struggled with her own gender identity and sexual orientation, often expressing that she felt like a man trapped in a woman's body, a part of why she went by the name Pauli. Though the language of non-binary and transgender identities was not widely used during her lifetime, her life reflected queer and gender non-conforming experiences. Her personal writings, discovered posthumously, reveal her struggles with gender identity and her relationships with women. She was a pioneer for gender and LGBTQ+ rights, challenging societal norms and advocating for inclusive definitions of identity and equality. So what can we learn from Pauli today? Intersectionality matters. This is something that keeps coming up in the multiple people that we have talked about that I've been able to share. Intersectionality matters. She fought for racial, gender, and LGBTQ+ equality, refusing to separate these struggles because she lived at the intersection of them daily. And as a Black woman who lives at an intersection, I completely understand. Social justice movements have to address the intersections of race, gender, class, and sexuality. We need to support organizations and policies that prioritize intersectional approaches to justice. When advocating for women's rights or racial justice, please ensure that Black women, LGBTQ plus people's voices, and other marginalized communities are included, because no one knows the experience better than the people experiencing them. We have to be relentless in our pursuit of justice, even without recognition. Pauli Murray rarely received credit, the credit she deserved, and she deserved a lot of it, but she continued her work because her mission was bigger than personal fame. Making a difference isn't about being in the spotlight. It's about impact. So even if your work is behind the scenes, keep going. And we need to remember this as we volunteer, organize, write, or advocate, even if we feel unseen, because real change happens from the collective and persistent action. We have to keep going. We need to use knowledge and strategy as tools for liberation, right? Murray's greatest weapon was her legal and intellectual brilliance, okay? That girl is bad. She used law, research, and writing to dismantle oppression and create lasting legal precedents. So you know that spoke to my heart, right? Knowledge is absolutely a powerful tool, which is why education is necessary for liberation. Because it's such a powerful tool for social change. Research, writing, and understanding the law absolutely can break down barriers. So we need to make sure we're educating ourselves on policy, history, and activism strategies, and using our platforms to inform others and advocate for just laws and policies. Finally, embrace your whole identity, even when society doesn't. Murray was often marginalized because of race, gender, and sexuality, but she refused to erase parts of herself to fit into movements. Hello? Your identity and lived experiences are strengths, not limitations. Justice movements are strongest when they include diverse perspectives. So we have to remember to bring our full authentic self to our advocacy work and support movements that honor diversity and inclusion, a true inclusion, especially for LGBTQ plus and non-binary individuals who are often left on the margins, even more so than people who are Black or women or whatever the case may be. Change is a lifelong commitment, okay? Pauli Murray's work definitely spanned decades and multiple fields, from law and civil rights to religion and education. She adapted, she evolved, and she stayed committed to justice her entire life. Social change really does take time, often longer than one lifetime, and it requires persistence, adaptability, and long-term commitment. We have to stay involved in our activism beyond the trends. If it matters to you today, make sure it still matters to you tomorrow. Whether through voting, mentoring, or policy advocacy, commit to long-term justice work. Pauli Murray was a visionary whose legal theories shaped U.S. civil rights and gender equalities laws, whose activism bridged the gaps between racial and gender justice, and whose queer identity and faith challenged societal norms. Her life is a powerful lesson in persistence, courage, and intersectionality, a reminder that one person's brilliance, resilience, and passion for justice can ripple across history, shaping laws and movements for generations. So again, what is your area? What's the one thing you want to focus on that you can stay committed to even when it's no longer popular? To make sure that you have impact, to make sure that you are positioning yourself to bring about the things that you want to see, and that even if it doesn't happen in your lifetime, you lay the groundwork for it to happen, right? There are so many people who are far more seen today because of the work that Pauli Murray did during her lifetime than they would be had she not persisted from behind the scenes without the recognition and in spite of the many, many obstacles that she faced based on the intersectionalities that she lived in, okay? So don't let who you are stop you from being who you're meant to be. It is not a limitation again. It is your superpower, because there is a viewpoint, there is an experience, there is an understanding that you have that no one else will have the same way. So make sure you bring that to the forefront of your justice work to ensure that you are helping to expand the legacy of Black history, because hey, that's what we need you to do, okay? So as always, remember, do what you need to do to be more than okay, because you deserve to be more than okay. And absolutely do what you need to do to live a life you love, because you deserve to live a life you love. I love you. Again, happy Black Love Day. Make it a good one.